Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Texas Postgame Show or the 40 Acre Show. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button. Please subscribe down below. Stick in for the content. And also, we are brought to you live by Mark Rogers, the voice of college football. He has a bunch of team channels over there. So if you're not interested in this commentary, go and check out the commentary about Michigan, Ohio State, Texas A&M, multiple other channels over there. Just go to his channel, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, up on YouTube. Go over to his channels list and scroll down a bunch of team channels. I believe he has 24 team channels at this point. So plenty of content to keep you busy. If you're just a avid college football fan or if you just like one team, go over there. I'm sure you can find it. Anyways, fantastic game. I'm going to flash the score up here on the screen. 70-35 for Texas. And this was a big win, especially this was a momentum building win, in my opinion. You just got to keep building off of these wins, capitalizing off what you did game by game, and making it go from there. Comments. The defense has got to do something they're horrible at pass coverage and tackling. Tackling to me wasn't that bad today, other than basically secondary. Secondary is not good right now. I don't know what the issue is. I mean, it's been the issue since Mac Brown left. It's been bad. Josh Thompson's the only guy I trust in man-to-man coverage. Deshaun Jameson got beat twice for touchdowns. Henry Colombi came in and had 3 bombs. All of them were caught. All of them were for touchdowns. One was B.J. Foster. That's on coaching. B.J. Foster, they should know that. B.J. Foster has never shown the ability to cover deep. Never. He's never shown it. So why are you putting him back there in that situation? He's not a good coverage guy. There was actually talk years back from changing him from a safety to a linebacker. And I disagree with this. He's not trash. He's a good player. You just can't put him in a position to cover wide receivers, stuff like that. If you want him covering a tight end, sure, fine. Running backs, no. Wide receivers, no. Put him in the box, let him make tackles. He's good at that. He's probably one of our best tacklers, most sure tacklers ever since that fiasco in the Red River rivalry a couple years ago where he couldn't tackle CeeDee Lamb with a bunch of other guys. That wasn't just him. But don't put him in situations where he's going to fail. And coverage is one of those situations. He will fail in coverage. And we saw that. It was a good pass, but all he had to do was get it over BJ, and it was going to be a touchdown, and he did that. And then Deshaun Jameson got burned twice. You're supposed to be a speedster. Just turn and run. When you're beat, just turn and run. And then if you see the receiver's eyes look up, then turn around and make a play on the ball. But just turn and run to catch up. He was in bad position both times. Dusty Dvorak said he was in good position on the second one. No, he wasn't. He was behind the guy. How's that good position? You want to be between the ball and your man. He was behind him. That doesn't work. It's never worked. So that he wasn't in good position. But overall, it's nice to see these things in a win and not in a loss. I would way rather have seen this in a win than a loss because at least in the win, you got the W, looks good, but then you say this is what we need to learn, especially give up 35 points. There's a lot of teaching points on the defensive side of the football. Offense, I actually think there's really not much else you could do. We pushed Texas Tech around. This was kind of the opposite of what Arkansas did to us. Arkansas bullied us. We bullied Texas Tech over 300 yards rushing back-to-back weeks, by the way. I don't know when the last time that's happened. Where did this O-line come from? Yeah, they were bad, then incredible. Yeah, they were really good today. I don't know if that says more about Kyle Flood's coaching or Texas Tech's defensive line. And people were talking about Texas Tech. I was worried for this game. I didn't think we'd lose, but I thought it could be closer, obviously, than it was. I think I said I was over in the Texas football talk chat, and I said 33-24, so a 9-point game. I was wrong on that, obviously, and I'm glad I was wrong. But we didn't struggle with some of the stuff that I think TCU is going to throw at us. Texas Tech did a lot of 3 to 4 man fronts. They didn't really do blitzes that much, a couple times. And we were able to even hold up versus those and give Casey enough time. But even on the stunts that they ran with 3 to 4 guys, they didn't get pressure. So overall, the offensive line did really well. I don't really have any complaints about them today. Obviously, there was 2 holding calls. One was on, I believe, Oakford, and the other one was on Christian Jones. So again, the left side of the offensive line did bad, or was the bad portion of the line again when it showed up, but they didn't show up as much. So if the offensive line can play like that going forward, we'll be fine. Especially on offense. I'm more worried about the defense getting beat deep. That concerns me a lot because when's the last time we were good defending the deep pass? It's been at least 6 years, at least. It's been a long time. We were bad at that consistently under Tom Herman. We're still not good at it, clearly, today. 3 for 3 going deep for their backup quarterback after Tyler Shaw got injured. So a lot of work to do there. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to watch those again. The first one where he forced his guy to bounds and then they threw deep and he ran into Brennan Schooler. By the way, Schooler should not be playing. He's not very good. You can tell he hasn't. He might get better game by game since he hasn't played there in a while. But we have guys that can play just as good, if not better than him. So why don't use them, especially since he's gone after this year. So I think they should be done with him. Play him in blowouts, and that's basically what it was when he came in. So I didn't really have a gigantic issue with it, but he's got bad awareness. And then Jameson, I think, to be honest with you, didn't know the rules. I think he forced him out. Was like, okay, we're good now. I don't have to worry. And he was still running, but it didn't look like he was ready to make a play on the ball whatsoever. And then when he caught it, he's like, oh crap, I got to tackle him and keep him from scoring. He didn't. Got blown up by his own teammate, and they scored a touchdown. The second one, he just got burned down the sideline. I don't know how you get burned down the sideline when you're like one of the 5 fastest guys on the team, but you did. I was skeptical on Thompson, but I think today he proved all of his doubters wrong. I don't know. Well, I agree. I thought he did that last week, where he proved he should be the starter. But to me, I want to see what you do versus TCU. TCU, I think they're losing right now. I'm not 100% sure. They were losing last time I saw. But I don't care. Even if they lose, guys, they've lost games before us and after us in the past, and they beat us that same year. So that doesn't mean anything to me. This team has beaten us 7 out of the last 9 times. They're a monkey on our back. We got to get it off this week. And I hope Sarkisian points that out. I hope he doesn't let this team, like they were talking about in the broadcast, and they did a very good job talking about this and bringing it up. The problem with Texas, anytime they have any sort of success, it seems to get to their head more than most teams. And I think that's because the national media hypes them up, the Austin media hypes them up, the Texas media hypes them up, and they hear it and they feed off it and they eat it alive. And I don't want that. I want Sark to put them in a room and say, listen, this was that you're way more talented than this Texas Tech team we just beat. This doesn't mean anything. Prepare like you prepared every week, no matter who we're playing. Keep up the level of play. Play to a standard that I'm setting. Don't play to our competition. And if you played it, or if you practice and play to that standard, we'll be fine going forward. And that's what he needs to do. So this week's going to tell me a lot about how this team handles success. If they come out and just win the game, I don't need a blowout. I need a win. If they come out and win the game, that tells me a lot. Even if they come out and they lose, but it's a hard-fought game, I wouldn't be fine with it, but it would show me something. If they come out and it's Arkansas all over again, we got the same issues we've had for the past decade, basically. Schooler body slam was the most ridiculous thing ever, but looked cool. SMU won, but they did win. Okay. Yeah, SMU's not a terrible team. They're not good or great, I should say. They're probably 7-5, 8-4 if they played in the Big 12. So, and it could be, again, a look-ahead spot. TCU could have been like looking at us. And they always play better versus always. Also, the body slam, it's a penalty. You can't do that. But the way the refs called it, I didn't like it because they say after the play. First off, no, it wasn't after the play. When you called it, he had picked him up already. You can't – what are you going to do? Just like if you drop him, he's going to fall either way. So he's finishing the play. I disagree with that, but it should be a personal foul because you can't do that. That's been a rule for a while now. Who's better, Rice or Tech? Tech's better, but I don't think by a lot, to be honest with you. I think that's the thing too. Like, I think their defensive line is Rice's defensive line and Texas Tech's defensive line is equal. I think Tech's offense is better, obviously, especially we were playing late in that game where Rice was on their 3rd and 4th string quarterback. So Tech is definitely better when it comes to that. But defensively, Rice might be better. I wouldn't be shocked if Texas Tech fires their defense coordinator, either reading some of the comments made from other fans on social media and the heat that's already on Matt Wells. He's going to be either forced to make a move, or if he doesn't make a move this week or next week with the defense or somewhere, then he's probably just saying, I'm going down with the ship and I'm not changing anything. Because I think he's going to get fired most likely if they finish anything worse than 6-6. And even if they finish 6-6, he may get fired. 70-35, and also 70 points. The most points scored in a Big 12 or in a game period by Texas since the 2005 Big 12 championship game versus Colorado. Obviously, that was a blowout, 70-3. And then going on to USC beating them in California for the national championship in the Rose Bowl. So obviously this team's not going to do that. This team's not winning the national championship, but great building block. I mean, so another thing today, I questioned, and I know other people were questioning whether Sark was holding stuff back or he just didn't feel comfortable calling these sort of plays with the team yet. He answered that today. He was clearly holding stuff back. There was a lot of great play calling. Multiple examples of that. First drive, the wheel out of the backfield with Jordan Whittington in orbit motion with Bijan. That orbit motion basically tells you man-to-man. Swing Bijan out. They brought a linebacker blitz, and that linebacker normally would guard Bijan in that situation. And it forced I'm not sure if they messed up, but it forced either the other outside linebacker or the safety blew an assignment and was supposed to come down and get to Bijan, or they weren't fast enough to. And he had to make one move, outrun everybody, scored a touchdown. The other one, the read option, and then I don't know if you call it a jet sweep pass or like a push pass to Jordan Whittington. Great play. I've never seen that before anywhere. And then defense too. Kwiatkowski coming out with the I formation on defense. I think that's a good formation when it's an obvious passing down. I would not run that formation, and I don't think you will, on anything like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, because then I feel like that's really easy to run against. So overall, I just like the ability to switch things up. I think that's really cool and really unique, and it's not something we've had here in a while. Agreed. I think that's where the eye should be. And again, I don't think this statement may be a little bit too premature, Jeremiah, but I don't think it's super premature. I think if next week we'll say everything, if we get that monkey off our back with TCU, especially if we blow them out, when I come back here next week, I will be the first one to say Big 12 championship or bust, to be in it. I'm not going to say win it, to be in it. Now, if we beat Oklahoma, then I will say Big 12 championship or bust. But if we blow out TCU, or even let's say we beat them by 10 points, then I'll say Big 12 championship or bust. Because if we beat TCU, we should be able to beat Iowa State, in my opinion. Obviously, Oklahoma is a different animal. They match the talent. They have a culture, a system built in. They have the quarterback factory over there, basically. So they'll be hard to get past. But we can do it. We've done it before. We've come in games. I remember Charlie Strong, 1-4, comes in and beats I believe, 4-1 Oklahoma team. So it can happen. Also, I want to give a shout out to Alfred Collins. Played great today. Probably the best game he's had at Texas, other than maybe the Alamo Bowl, but he played really well. Moro Ojomo played really well. Obviously, DeMarvion Overshown always plays well. Josh Thompson, pick 6. He's by far our best cornerback. I mean, I don't think he really got thrown at this game. They picked on Deshaun Jameson, like I said earlier. Defense to get a pick 6, I feel like Senior was awful. I agree. The secondary wasn't good, especially in the second half when they started forcing the ball down the field again. Deep passes are a kryptonite for the past 7-8 years. Like I said, I don't even remember the last time. When I'm trying to think, Quandre Digga was 2013, I believe. So that's like the last time I remember when our defense on the back end was solid. We've never had a complete defense. We've always had parts of a really good defense. The last complete defense we had was Tom Herman's first year. That was a really good defense with Malik Jefferson manning the middle linebacker group. But even that secondary wasn't great. It was good, but it wasn't great. Holton Hill was very good. If he wouldn't have got busted for drugs, he probably would have been a first-round or second-round pick in the NFL. And he kept having issues in the NFL. And I think he's on a practice squad now, but I don't think he's on a roster. But he was really good, and we haven't had anyone like that. Denver Harris, I believe, was there today. Maybe not. Maybe he's there for the Oklahoma State game as well, but I know he's visiting soon. Cornerback, North Shore High School, I believe, 5-star, amazing. It's going to be between, in my opinion, Bama and us. He would start right away. I read on Twitter, someone tweeted that, it was like, pitch to Denver Harris, you come here and start right away, and it would be. So it'd be amazing. But Josh Thompson is definitely our best cornerback right now. Darian Dunn I like too, but they don't seem to trust him because he's really only out there in the second half when it's a big lead. So maybe he's not as good as I think he is. Oh, the secondary wasn't awful. I disagree. You can't get beat 3 times for touchdowns deep over I think all 3 of those were over 40-yard passes. You can't allow that, especially Texas Tech has a god awful defense. TCU's not giving up 70 points. TCU, I think we might be able to get 35. Max Duggan is just as good as Henry Colombo and can put up 35 points, in my opinion, if we gave that up to him. Obviously, every game takes on a different shape. It's its own animal. So I don't expect how we played in this game, like defensive scheme wise, how we'll play versus TCU, because they're two totally different teams. Texas Tech has tried to run the ball more in the more under Sonny Cumbie, but TCU actually tries to establish the run with Zach Evans. So I expect that. If we get Harris, he could be our first step back. Yeah, definitely. We haven't had DBU to me ended at Texas after Earl Thomas, the 09 team or 09-10 team that made the national championship versus Bama. I mean, with Gideon, Earl Thomas, the Brown brothers back there, that was the last really good secondary we had, and we haven't had anyone since like that since. And then obviously before Michael Griffin, Michael Huff, Aaron Ross, those guys, amazing. Nathan Vasher. That's not true. We weren't in prevent on those deep touchdown passes. The one Jameson, it was man to man on the sideline. There was prevent in the fourth quarter, but the deep touchdowns were, I believe I'd have to watch the one play, but B.J. Foster got beat on a route that came all the way across the field to the pylon, and it got thrown over his head for a touchdown. Deshaun Jameson got beat down the sideline twice. Those were not in prevent defense. I'm pretty sure. I know the one down the left sideline was 100% not prevent defense. The one on the right might have been. The one on the left was definitely not. And even Sark said after the game, our defensive intensity wasn't the same, and it wasn't. And it's hard to play defensive intensity the same. But the thing is, it shouldn't be when you put your backups in, because the backups should be trying to prove themselves every play they get. So the defensive intensity should be the same. Obviously, your defensive intensity is not going to be the same if you have the starters in, because they're up by so much and they don't really need to prove anything, is what they're going to think to themselves. But the backup should want to prove something. Again, we are brought to you here by the voice of college football, Mark Rogers. I'm sure you're subscribed to his channel. If not, you're missing out. Go over or go on YouTube, search thing, type in MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Go over there, subscribe, like his videos. If you want to check out more team-specific content, go over to channels, scroll down, find whatever team you need. There's 24 teams over there, mine or Texas included, and watch those videos, like them as well. I know Notre Dame, Wisconsin, there's probably going to be a Notre Dame after show. Obviously, I think they won the game. They were up by, I believe, 2 touchdowns when I came on here. So it's hard for me to believe that an inept offense like Wisconsin's going to come back from that. And overall, and again, 300 yards back-to-back. I'd like to know when the last time that was. I'm going to look up after this live show when the last time that was. It's got to be, my guess is the 05 team. I don't think the 09 team is really like that. They're more precise passing with Colt and Jordan and Marquise Brown and those guys, or Marquise Goodwin. I always said Marquise Brown. Marquise Goodwin and those guys. So I don't see them in the same line as the 05 team where you had Vince Young, Jamal Charles, Selvin Young, guys like that. Also, shout out to Xavier Worthy. 3 touchdowns, 100 yards receiving, just big playability. We haven't had someone like him. A lot of people were tweeting out, when's the last time we had someone like him? And a lot of people said never, and I kind of agree. We haven't really had a burner like that. I'd say Marquise Goodwin, but he was a straight burner. He wasn't a complete football player like this guy seems to be, and he's only going to get better. Marquise Goodwin wasn't really like that. No offense to Marquise Goodwin. He's in the league still. But he wasn't a complete football player. He was just a straight burner, which I wouldn't mind having that either. But this guy's just great football intelligence. I mean, he was in the slot the whole camp, and then they decided, hey, we don't have anyone to play outside. Can you play outside? He's like, slide me outside. They slid him outside, and he's performing. So kudos to him for learning the playbook really fast. And sucks for Michigan. I mean, Michigan's I think is going to have issues in the Big Ten for for a couple reasons, but one of them is going to be because they don't have any outside playmakers. They rely on the run too much, and you can't stretch a team down the field. You can only go east and west so much in the passing game, and Xavier Worthy is going to help us north to south a lot this year. The D-line had a good showing the D-line did have a good showing. Like I said, Alfred Collins played really well. For some reason, they had refused to play him early on. They said he wasn't practicing well, which I find that really hard to believe, but who knows? And Moro Ujoma played really well on the defensive line. Tavondre Sweat played pretty well. Keontae Coburn, again, don't hear his name a lot. If I could get the all-22 field tape, it's hard to find. It's impossible to find, but I'd love to watch it and see if he's getting a lot of double teams on some of these, but he just doesn't make the impact that he should make, in my opinion. But they did play well. Again, it's hard. I don't know how many rushing yards Texas Tech had. I can check that out real quick. But overall, just a really solid performance. And Texas Tech isn't like the Texas Tech in the past. They actually tried to establish the run a little bit. And they ran it okay, I think, but not great. Let's see. We finally have a championship caliber running back room, and Xavier was just balling out for Sark, so we can get Stewart. Yeah, Stewart would be nice to get. Right now, I believe he's crystal balled 67% Texas, 33% Florida. So he would be a gigantic get. That'd be like getting another Xavier Worthy, basically. I don't think we're going to get Kevin Coleman at this point. He's 100% crystal balled to Florida State. But that'd be nice too. We need Evan Stewart would be amazing. Get him and then have another wide receiver that's similar, but obviously not as talented because there aren't Evan Stewarts all over the place. But he would be amazing to get. Or Monty Winfield, obviously in the class too, very good wide receiver, 4-star. And yeah, this is the best running back room we've had in a very long time. I mean, Roshan, Keelan, Bijan, Jonathan Brooks has played really well when he's played. It's the best running back room probably since the 05 team. That was a pretty good, obviously good running back room too with Ramonce Taylor, if you consider him a running back. Played at wide receiver, played basically all over. Selvin Young and Jamal Charles. But this team, I think this one might be better. Bijan is so good. He was great in the rushing today, 136 yards, 7.6 yards per carry. And he didn't have a touchdown rushing, but he had a touchdown receiving as well. And I love that he's being used in the passing game because he's so explosive and needs to get the ball in his hands in different ways, different and unique ways, and they've been doing that so far. I mean, yeah, but you could say the same thing when Texas was going bad at 5-7. We were still getting good recruits. There are just some guys that can be pitched, especially under a new coaching staff. Like if Norvell were to get fired after this year, I think there's a chance he wouldn't go there. Or unless they hired like some big name, like a Lane Kiffin type. But they're just some guys that's their school. Like they were in love with that school for the longest time, and that's where they want to go. And then basically, unless they're just complete and awful dog water, like 2-10, they're going to go there. And I think Florida State will probably win 4 or 5 games. And then, like I said, if they fire Norvell, maybe he doesn't go, or maybe if they hire a bigger name coach, he's even more guaranteed to go there. But right now, he's 100% crystal ball, and those guys do a pretty good job over there. So that's probably where he's going to end up right now. And yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me, especially when you're a 5-star. You have USC after you, Oregon, Texas, out basically everywhere. And you want to go to Florida State, which is a dumpster fire at this point, but that's what he wants to do. Drew Cooper. How do you view the O-line after this game? I view them as incomplete. What I mean by that is they're still learning clearly because they've gotten better. Like this showed progress. They had 2 holding calls, I think. Those are the only 2 penalties on the offensive line the whole game, both on the left side. Again, that's the weakness. But if you can get 2 a game, like if you came into Sark and said, I guarantee you only will have 2 penalties today on the offensive line, he would take that because they mauled the guys up front, over 300 yards rushing again. The pass protection was really good. Now, again, only 3 to 4 man rushes, so that's interesting. I'm going to be interested to see when they bring blitz, delayed blitzes, more stunt stuff like that. They didn't There were some stunts today. I didn't notice Texas Tech doing some stunts with they brought 4 guys, and they didn't struggle with that. So that's really good. And the right side of the offensive line has been okay this year, and it was really good today. Like, you didn't hear anything about Kirkster doing anything bad, Angula or Majors up the middle. So progress. Not where we need to be, but a lot better. And if you could sign me up for like that type of game from them the rest of the year, I'd sign up for it because it was good. Yeah, Texas Tech had 120 yards rushing and 3.9 yards per carry. So we did really good versus the run on defense. And I would be interested to see if Texas Tech would have attacked us differently with Showen at quarterback. Obviously, he got hurt, and they were kind of weird. There was a lot of quick passes east and west, and then running north and south. They didn't really test us until we got a little bit later in the game, and with the backup quarterback. And when they tested us, they succeeded down the field. So I don't know if they regret that on their end that they didn't throw down the field more. I would have, and that's going to be interesting to see if TCU tries to do that with Duggan. But it's going to be interesting because the defense or the cornerbacks are going to have to hold up. Especially Oklahoma's going to test us deep multiple times. They have a great wide receiver room with Theo Weiss, Jaden Hazelwood. What's the other guy? I forget the other guy's name. Marvin Mims. So, guy from Texas, amazing. We should have got him, but they got him. And they're going to test us deep, and we have to hold up. How about the D-line? Felt obvious that college choice should be on the field every game. Yeah, he should be on the field every game. They said he practiced better the last couple of weeks, so he's earned playing time. No offense to coaches, but I'll take a C-plus average or a C-plus guy in practice and a gamer on defense because that guy is a difference maker. He had, I believe, either a sack. He had 1 sack for sure. He might have had another one, but he had a sack and another tackle for loss. And he's just super athletic. He's a freak. And when Chris Ash is talking about he's the best defensive player I've ever coached when he's coached the Bosas and guys, and I believe he coached J.J. Watt at Wisconsin, that says a lot about what kind of player this guy could be. So I don't understand why he doesn't play more. He needs to play more, and hopefully he does in the future. PK is recruiting like 7-8 is our weakness, except for the Collins Day. I think PK is trying to make with what he's got with only 5 months. Yeah, and that could be the case, but he could also change up his scheme. I don't like his scheme where he allows basically he changes up so much where he's like, okay, I'm gonna allow you 5 yards here, 5 yards here, 5 yards here. Now I'm gonna bring these guys up and press against you and then leave them out on an island. Like, if you're gonna do one or the other to me, either let him have 5 yards ding and dunk down the field and then buckle up in the red zone. That's basically what he had done up until today. And don't get beat over the top. Today it was kind of a mixture of the two, and he got burned 3 times. So he's got to make a decision on that. And there are some teams, like when we play Kansas, that it doesn't matter because we'll put up 60 plus on Kansas, put up 60 plus on Baylor, or at least 50 plus on Baylor. Those teams, I don't care if you want to do something like that. But versus like a TCU, Oklahoma, Iowa State, I would get up in there and get physical with the guys. Oklahoma, I'm letting you have 5 yards. 3 to 4 yards, 5 yards max every time on these passing things downs, and then forcing them for field goals in the red zone. That's what I do for Oklahoma and TCU. The run stop before the flag block punt. He was in the backfield in 2 seconds. Yeah, Alfred Gonzi, he was, and the block punt too. Keelan Robinson just got excited because the punt before that Texas Tech had, he almost blocked, and then he was like. They did the same formation and everything. By the way, Jeff Banks, great special teams coach. We've been so much better on special teams. And he was like, man, I'm going to get this. And he was just so excited. He lined up off sides, shot out of the cannon, blocked it. But that's one of those things where, to me, you need to realize as a coach, like, if you just got to block the last time, tell the guys, hey, same thing. It's going to happen. Just calm down, be ready. And when it's presents itself to make it or take advantage of the play. And he kind of, like I said, got a little antsy and lined up off sides, and he really wanted it. So can't blame the guy. But that's one of those things too, where like in the past under Charlie Strong and Tom Herman, that's one of those things where that would have let the team back in the game, and you would have seen Texas start to doubt themselves. That did not happen today at all. We took the reins on offense again and scored and went up 21-7, and then 28-7, and they went for it on a 4th down, and we ended the game. So great job all around by the offense today. Really nothing you can say bad about the offense today. It was obviously a lot of questions answered on that side of the ball, but then there was more presented on the defensive side, in my opinion, especially with the back end. I was really happy with special teams. Wish we didn't have the hiccup and Fayette. Yeah, but that wasn't, again, I like what Sarkisian said about that. Like, that was a guy making just like, that's like an everyday thing. Like, think about it. That's like forgetting where your car keys are type of thing. Like, he just didn't catch the ball. And those things happen in life. We're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. I'm cool with that. I'm not cool with being block punts shouldn't happen. You shouldn't have maybe one block punt allowed here. Maybe. But stuff like that, like those mental errors, I like once in a while, I'm cool with. Like if he does that once or twice a year, fine. But you can't have like bad schemes. That's your job as a coach to get rid of. That can actually be taught and prevented. You can't prevent someone from making a mental mistake once in a while. That's just not going to happen. That's why you see even the best players in the NFL do the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of training, a bunch of reps. Again, I'm sure after or in practice, they had Dicker back there just basically hiking the ball and him catching it probably 100 times to make sure it wouldn't happen again. But you're always going to have them. We're human beings. Stuff like that's going to happen. Yeah, agreed. Casey basically locked up. Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. I thought he had it locked up already because you can't make yeah, I agree. Casey basically locked up trouble here, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. Casey, you couldn't have gone back to Hudson, in my opinion, because if you go back to Hudson, name me a team that's had 2 quarterback switches that have been good. All those teams are bad. So you're basically saying if you switch quarterbacks again, that we're a 6-6 average team at best. Like that's what you are if you do that. So Casey, to me, after he made the decision, was going to be the starting quarterback, unless he got hurt or was just terrible. Like came in and threw like 4 interceptions and a half or something like that. But he was always going to be our starting quarterback after that. Hiccup Ark is good. I agree. I think Arkansas is good. I'm really excited to hop off here in like 10, 15 minutes and go watch the Arkansas Texas A&M game. I don't think Arkansas is getting enough love. I really think they're going to finish between 4th and 8th place in the SEC, and for them, that's really good this year. I think they're going to win possibly 7 and 9 games. So they're not a bad team. They have a really, really good defense with a really good defensive coordinator and a pretty good offense. And I was embarrassed about our showing in the game. I was embarrassed about losing. I thought it was a possibility. In fact, I predicted on the post-game show after the Louisiana game that we would lose that game. I thought we'd lose by 7 points. I didn't think we'd get it. We basically, what happened to us is basically what we did to Texas Tech today. We destroyed them. We destroyed them, man. We ran right at them, and we had 300 yards rushing. That's basically what Arkansas did to us. They punched us in the mouth and kicked our ass. Like, you can't allow that to happen when you have the bigger, better athletes. And if, like I said, star-wise, we have more talent in the program. It didn't make any sense to me. They looked really underprepared. But like I said, I wasn't going to judge Sark off of that game. I'm going to judge him how he reacts to that game. And so far, it's been great how he's reacted. Again, let's see how he reacts to a little bit of success, 2 wins in a row, 300 yards rushing back-to-back. We're going to play TCU next week. Let's see how that goes. Again, though, Matthew, good comment. Thanks for coming in. Please like the video. And nice name, by the way. Yeah, but TCU, again, there have been average teams in the past, and TCU's beaten us. Like I said, they're 7-2 versus in the last 9 games. So, and not all those TCU teams have been good. I think, in fact, only 3 of them have been like good football teams. One of them was a very good football team. But we just need to stick to it. Like I say, prepare to our standards, prepare with the culture we're building, and we need to stay focused on them and not get ahead of ourselves and overlook them and go to Oklahoma. And as long as we do that, we should beat them. Oh, okay, 10-0 Arkansas. I'm not shocked by that, by the way. I thought Arkansas beat A&M today. A&M's one of the 3 most overrated teams in the country. One of the other ones just lost today, Wisconsin, always overrated. I'm sorry, but I'm never going to take you serious when you play in a garbage-ass conference that has one good offensive team in it, and Ohio State, and the other ones aren't good. You might have Penn State once every 3 or 4 years look good on offense, but all those defenses in that conference are highly overrated because of the offenses they play. And Wisconsin, I think, truly does have a decent defense, but until you get a quarterback, you're not winning anything on a big stage. So Wisconsin's always overrated. Obviously, A&M's overrated. And then I still think Oregon's overrated. I think the Pac-12's down. I think they'll still probably lose a game or two. But we'll see. A&M's always overrated. I mean, my God, Haynes King, even when he was healthy, they weren't good. And Zach Calzada's worse than him. So I'm not shocked Arkansas's beating him. Ooh, let's cool the brakes on that one. Let's beat TCU this week, and like I said, if we beat TCU this week, I will come on here and say Big 12, not championship, get to the Big 12 championship or bust. Now, if we beat Oklahoma, I will agree with you. I think it's Big 12 championship or bust. But to me, this was me 5 to 6 years ago. Like I was just all up in the hype and everything. I want to see it on the field. I'm done with the talking. I'm done with the BS. I want to see you do it on the field first before I make any like big declarations about this Texas team. Ark putting pressure with the three-man rush and makes defense. Oh, 100%. That's like basically if you can. That's how you beat like in the NFL. That's how teams would beat Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. They rush 3 or 4, and if you can get home with 3 or 4, you got 7, 8 guys back there. Like even the best guys, if you're only giving them 2.5 to 3 seconds to read the defense with 3 guys rushing and 8 guys back there, you're not going to be able to do it 75% of the time. Even the best quarterback. So someone like Zach Calzada, I wouldn't be surprised if he throws a pick 6 in this game if he hasn't already. I haven't been watching it because I've been on here. But he's not good. I mean, Colorado got boat raced. Or Colorado was in a tight game with them and then got boat raced at home by Minnesota the next week. Minnesota today just lost to Bowling Green. So what does that say? A&M's not that good. They haven't been. People need to realize if your best player is always your tight end or your running back, you're never going to win a national championship. That's just not going to happen. And you can say Alabama last year. Alabama's, to me, their best player is Devontae Smith. Their second best player is Mac Jones, highly underrated. He's showing that in the NFL. Precision passing. He's played way above his 3-star recruit ranking. And Najee Harris was their third best player on offense. But if Jimbo Fisher is not good at developing quarterbacks, Jameis Winston under Jimbo Fisher got worse as he was around Jimbo Fisher. His best year was his freshman season, and it went downhill from there. So this Jimbo Fisher hype needs to stop. A&M might be the closest to without they don't deserve 7. And Haynes King wasn't good either. If you look at, I think he had 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions versus their opener. I forget who they played, but it wasn't a good team. He's not good. Like Jimbo Fisher is not a quarterback. He doesn't run a good system. He doesn't develop quarterbacks. When's his last good wide receiver? Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin was okay. He wasn't great. And then they have I forget his name, Demas over there, who's a 5-star recruit sitting on the bench, doesn't play. There's one of their best receivers from last year, Dylan Wright, transferred to Minnesota, put up 100-plus yards on Ohio State, and that guy was terrible with A&M, like yards and receptions-wise, obviously not talent-wise, but he wasn't getting the ball because Jimbo Fisher doesn't know how to scheme his playmakers open. This facade of A&M is going to disappear after, I believe, either this year or next year, and people are going to see through it and realize this is all BS. Like, their schemes, him as a coach, and I wouldn't be this would not shock me if they struggle this year, go 8-9-3 in the SEC, and Ed Orgeron gets fired and he runs away from A&M and goes to LSU. Would not shock me whatsoever. That was me after the UGA. Yeah, I think we all were. That was like the first time in the last decade where I thought, okay, they're back. We're ready to roll now. And then we went 7-5. And then that was kind of like, after that 7-5 years, like, I'm done with this. Like, show me who you are. I'm tired of you talking. I'm tired of all this press. Show me the goods. If you don't show me the goods, I'm not going to believe you. Like, people say a lot of stuff. That doesn't mean they're going to do it. And that's what I like about Sark. He doesn't seem to be one of those guys where he's like touting all this stuff, like Tom Herman. Oh, yeah, every guy on my team bench is 300 pounds. We have this many guys that squat this amount of weight. I don't give a crap about that. Just tell me what you can do on the football field, or show me what you can do on the football field. But again, we're brought to you by MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Please go up on YouTube, look for or type in his name, go to his channel, subscribe, like his videos, go to his channel, scroll down. There's about 24 team channels over there. Find your team, subscribe, watch the videos, like the content. And obviously, subscribe here, like the content here. I'll be here every week, every Saturday after Texas plays. Obviously, I won't be on their bye weeks, but I will. I believe they don't have a bye week for the first 7 games. So I'll be here for 7 weeks in a row, including next week versus TCU and the week after in the Red River rivalry. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and enjoy more content. A&M, I can definitely see A&M falling apart, and then Aggies still act like that's the biggest thing on A&M. Like it, they think they're better than they are. I mean, they haven't won a national championship since 1939. 1939. We hadn't even gotten involved in World War II yet, so it's ages ago. No one alive. Well, let's see. If you were under 10, basically, I guess you could have been alive. But anyone like that has a clear memory doesn't even remember that game. So, like, it doesn't make any sense to me why they're so hyped up every year. But hey. Worthy is a star already. Yeah, agreed. He's the best wide receiver. Him and finally, Whittington showed up today. And by the way, I really, really, really like this. So he dropped the ball earlier, and then the next play, guess what they did? They threw it right back to him. By the way, I think it was the same route. Another thing I like about Sarkisian, if it works, he keeps doing it. There were multiple times there where we'd go no huddle, hurry up, and we'd run the same play back to back. And I love that because why would you stop something that works? Let me ask you, if you study for an exam a certain way and you got an A+ on the exam, like a 98, are you going to say, you know what, I'm going to change up everything. I'm going to scrap what I did and study a different way? That makes no sense. You want to repeat what you did that got you the good result that you got. And that's what Sarkisian seems to do. Whereas other coaches, I think, try to like psych themselves out of a good call by saying, to be successful, I have to switch it up because this guy's smart and he does this, this, and this. You don't have to do that. Keep it simple. Do what you do really well over and over and over again, and you'll have success, in my opinion. That's what I said. I said between 4. I have this documented in multiple places between 4th and 8th place after the Texas game. That's what I thought of this team. The SEC, especially the middle of it, and the bottom is terrible. Vanderbilt is the worst Power 5 team in the country. They're really bad. I mean, my God, Georgia. I think Georgia had more points than giving up yards versus Vanderbilt. And the middle isn't that good this year. You see, LSU isn't that good. Mississippi State's South Carolina's not very good. So it's really Georgia, Bama, Florida, and then who can be that 4th team? If Arkansas wins the game, you guys are telling me David Dalrymple. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. If that's your name. If Arkansas wins this game, that's the 4th best team. I can't really think of anyone else. Like I said, it'd be Bama, Georgia, Florida, and Arkansas. Which, by the way, if Pittman does that in I believe this is his second year, second year, that's insane. That's very good. So, and that could be scary. That could be scary for Texas because we'd probably be going into a division with them or a pod with them, and they'd probably take some of our recruits. So that wouldn't be good for Texas, obviously, but I'd way rather Arkansas be good than A&M. I hate A&M way more than that. I don't even think about Arkansas, to be honest with you. Oh, you're a UGA fan. Okay. Yeah, you guys looked really good today. Your defense is really good. Jordan Davis is a beast. What do you think about your quarterback situation, though? Because I think JT Daniels is a bit overrated. But you do get Pickens back. That'll help out whoever plays quarterback because I think he's probably the 3rd best wide receiver in college football, in my opinion. The other 2 guys play at Ohio State. Those are the 2 best wide receivers in college football, in my opinion. Yeah, that'll be a good game. That'll be a very contrasting style. It will kind of be like Sark, what Sark wants to do. Lane Kiffin likes to do more downfield shots more consistently and seems to do like more RPO stuff. And that may just because he has a better offensive line than we do. And Matt Corral, who's really, really good. But that will be a very interesting game. I forgot about them. They could be the 4th best team too. So Arkansas is probably battling for 4th place with Ole Miss, which who would have predicted that at the beginning of the season? Oh, huge Bama fan. Well, my bad. I messed that up. I know you don't want to be taken for a Georgia fan because obviously the success they've had isn't nowhere near the success Bama's had. Yeah, I agree. Ole Miss will be an exciting game no matter who they play because Ole Miss plays an exciting brand of football. And the thing is, Ole Miss is one of those teams I think they're going to put up 30-plus points versus whoever they play. Especially, there's no dominant team this year, in my opinion. Watching Alabama last week, they did look beatable, but then again, every team that isn't like just an all-time great team, usually even all-time great teams, like the 19 LSU team that came to Texas had a hard game versus us. But other than that, they really didn't have much of a test, other than probably Alabama as well. But most teams, even I take back what I was about to say. I think every team that's won a national championship has had at least one game where you're like, oh, they look beatable. Because I just realized back in my mind, I'm thinking of all the great college football teams, at least in my lifetime. I think 05 Texas, 04 USC, 05 USC as well. They were really good. 19 LSU. They all had really close games. Obviously, 05 USC was versus Notre Dame, where they have to push Reggie Bush in. 05 Texas versus Oklahoma State, where they have to come back and win when they're down by like 14 or 16 at halftime. And then 19 LSU versus Texas and Alabama. So every team has like that one game and one or two games, and that may have been the one or two games for Bama, the one game versus Florida. Florida's not a bad team either. They're probably, like I said, the third best team in the SEC. It's 17-0. The real question is, do I think they can keep it up? Yes, I do, for the simple fact that I think the most points A&M is capable of scoring with the guy they have at quarterback and Jimbo Fisher calling the plays is 24 points. So if Arkansas scores 10 more points, I think the game's over. Clemson is trouble. They missed Travis Etienne. No one talked about that. Really good running back. I think he helped out what they do over there. They kind of become one-dimensional now since they don't have a really good running back there. They have guys that are good, but they don't have a Travis Etienne type. And I think DJ's really good, but I think he might even be as good of or better pro prospect than Trevor. But the wide receivers, Justin Ross looks nowhere near the same coming off. I believe he had a spinal injury last year, so that makes sense. But then obviously missing Travis Etienne, they're missing some offensive linemen from last year. Defense still looks pretty good. The ACC is not very good either. I mean, Miami, Florida State, really bad. UNC, I think, is probably the second best team. Maybe Wake Forest. They're 4-0. But I don't see much competition. So they may be able to get better as the season progresses. And somehow, even if they go undefeated and they look this bad to me, I couldn't put them in. They're not one of the four best teams. I don't care if they go undefeated. If they continue to look this bad in games, I mean, it took a goal line stand to beat Georgia Tech last week, and Georgia Tech is bad. They lost to Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois lost to Michigan by 60 points. So, no, I don't care if you go undefeated. We need to start looking at, especially in a season like this, how your team is doing in those games, and they looked terrible last week. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. All these great national championship teams have hard games throughout the season. So, that's what I was trying to go through my brain of all the past national championships. I couldn't think of one that just rolled through the season and destroyed everybody. Maybe the 03 USC team. I'd have to go check on them. But I was 6 years old, so I wouldn't really remember that very well. I can't believe we were a jump throw across the body. I believe a safety, Caden Stearns covering Justin Jefferson running down the sideline play away from, I think, tying that game. I don't know what happens if we go into overtime, but we definitely tie it because they couldn't stop us. Neither team could stop each other in the fourth quarter and late in the third quarter. They all got gassed. I think it was like 100 degrees on the field late at night, and no one was stopping each other that game. The last NC to play all routes was 2013, and their schedule was garbage to be. The style game was down to the wire, of course, last 7 seconds. Yeah, so, but that's still a game you came close. And yeah, they're obviously the ACC was really bad then because you didn't even have Clemson where they're at now. And it's basically that, and Clemson now is carrying the conference. So yeah, that's a good point though. Thank you for that, Miami football, the voice of college football. I enjoy your guys' channel, by the way, too. Bama was dominant. Yeah, they were dominant, but they had, I believe, did they have a close game last year? I believe they had one. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that wasn't I'm trying to think though. I thought they had a close game. But yeah, that was because I remember the debate, and I think it's a good debate to have 2019 LSU versus 2020 Alabama. That'd be a really, really good game. Florida was our toughest game. Yeah, everyone was pointing at the A&M game. You guys will beat A&M by 3 touchdowns. You always do. That game's always hyped up, and you always blow them out. You think he'll play Florida in the SEC championship, David? I think Georgia's going to beat Florida. Only for the fact is I don't like Emory Jones, and I think Georgia's defense is probably the best in the country. And I think they're going to pick him off a couple of times, force some turnovers by him. Unless they put in Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson's been good in the limited plays he's had, like obviously versus bad teams, but that guy's a freak athlete. I don't obviously with the freaking gymnastics he does before the game, and there's videos I've seen of him, like they play basketball too as well, like at Florida. I know Texas does the same thing, like in the offseason they'll have like basketball games in the gym with the football team. This dude's doing like windmill 360 dunks and everything like that. So the guy's a freak athlete. This year's going to have some unusual playoff teams. I hope so. I get bored with the playoffs. It's not even a playoff, like Mark says. Again, MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. He always says this is an invitational, and it is an invitational because a playoff is you earn the right to play in it. No one earned the right to play in this. They picked you to play in it. And I'm praying. I want Cincinnati just to get in. I want a group of 5 team to be in it. I think they got a real shot too. I mean, especially the Notre Dame, that really helps them because if they beat that Notre Dame team that came today, I think, and they go undefeated, I think they should be in. I would take them if they went undefeated over Clemson. I think they definitely have a harder schedule than Clemson. And I don't care what the scores were in either of those games. Cincinnati deserves to be in over Clemson if they both were to go undefeated with the schedules they have, in my opinion. There you go. Yeah, and he's right. So I agree with him. There really hasn't been any team that's gone through the schedule and just demolished everyone other than FSU in 2013. The funny thing is, Ole Miss's offense is better this year than last year, but I don't think they're scoring 48 points this year. I think they'll score probably like 38. I think you guys will probably score like 45. I think it's 45-38 type of game. I don't see them putting up that many points this year. Maybe I'm wrong though, but I feel like if they put up 48, I don't think they're giving up. I don't think Alabama is capable of scoring 50 on Ole Miss, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be like a 50-48 game. Maybe they will, but I think Bryce Young, there were some things last week that would concern me as an Alabama fan with him. He looked really hesitant at times. He kind of reminded me of Hudson Card. Obviously, Hudson Card has far less talent around him in the Arkansas game, of where it was just like hesitancy. He was second-guessing himself, especially as the game got later. And if you do that, you're going to have some serious issues, especially going up against better competition. But again, he can improve. He will improve. He's really good. That could disappear by the time they play. I don't know when they play. I don't think they play next week. Yeah, and there was just some hesitancy. To me, there were some running lanes, and he would be like, do I want to go? Do I want to go? And then he went, but he only got a couple yards, or he didn't go at all. There was the one where he could have run for a touchdown. Instead, he threw it in the end zone, and that didn't make any sense to me. Is it just me or the ACC? I think Mark had the Pac-12. He came out with his Pac-12 or his football rankings for the conferences, and I think he had the Pac-12 as the worst. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember. I know it was SEC, Big 10, Big 12, and then it was either the ACC Pac-12 or Pac-12 ACC. I'm not sure. Personally, I think the ACC is the worst because at least you have Oregon. And let me ask you this: if you line the teams that had to play each other right now off the top of my head, the two best teams in the Pac-12 are Oregon and UCLA. If you line them up versus Clemson and Wake Forest or North Carolina, your choice. I think the Pac-12 wins both those games. I think Oregon would beat the crap. I said Oregon was overrated, but I think I should have put Clemson in that category as well. I think they'd beat Clemson, and I think Wake Forest I can't even think right now. Wake Forest or UNC would lose to UCLA. Fresno State's a good team. I know they barely beat UNLV either last night or 2 nights ago, but that's because their quarterback Jake Hayner had like his hip got messed up in that UCLA game, and it's still bothering him. So I'm not surprised that game was close because he's got like a really serious injury with his hip, and obviously if anyone's ever tried to throw a football, your hip involves it's probably the most important body part for throwing a football other than your shoulder. But again, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. I'm going to get back to watching Arkansas versus A&M. I'm hoping it's still 17-0. I hope you guys enjoy this content. Again, like the video, subscribe. Go over to MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Subscribe to his channel. If you have another one, go to or if you have more love for other teams in college football, go to the channels, scroll down. There's a bunch of other teams over there. Miami, Iowa, Florida State. There's a bunch of teams over there. Thanks. Horns up.